Do 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 do. Welcome to the Mental Health Militia News, where I am your host, Chabol, here with his co-host, Mr. Munster. Today in the news, we have quite a few doozies, and that's why we're going to just jump right on into it because it's a lot. Moving on to the update of the Bulldog Dorm report, he came to bring the pain hardcore to the brain. Yes, Durham filing raises prospect history might have changed if the Clinton lawyer hadn't lied. Yes, we're seeing that Michael Sussman, all because of his little lies that he turned into the CIA, saying that the sources for the Russian gate was approved by the CIA, and because of his little filing that this whole investigation was able to pop off. Mr. Sussman, thank you, two fingers. Moving on from the news to the sick world news with your MHM news. Yes, as we're seeing the Queen of England to leave Buckingham Palace and make Windsor her permanent home. Yes, we're seeing the Queen of England go to Windsor Palace and just crawl up in a ball and die, and then see her son take over as king, and then him go to jail, and then hopefully the England will be free to the people. Moving on from the news to the yes, Ottawa court reverses order from pro Trudeau judge. Freedom Convoy organizer gets legal victory in the eyes of the person who wrote this article, but this woman might have been better off staying in jail because now she is being heavily monitored by her government and cannot have any contact with anybody related to the convoy. Could we see this woman possibly going back to jail because of something she tiny in her life? I don't know. Maybe. Moving on from the news to the yes, EU pledges to cut Russia gas imports by 2/3 before the end of the year. Yes, the EU, who probably doesn't have enough satellites, solar panels or wind turbines to keep their electric on. Could we see rolling blackouts going across the EU because these people have nothing set up? Possibly. Moving on to yes, McDonald's to temporarily close restaurants and pause operations in Russia as we see the misinformation law sweep across Russia. Could McDonald's be wrapped up in pushing misinformation themselves, or are they taking a political stance? It's you take the guess. I'm just the one guy reading the tops of newspaper articles. Not pressuring for NATO membership as alliance afraid of confrontation with Russia, says Zelensky. Yes, in my mind, that Zelensky is not pushing NATO to come try to save his Ukrainian country. Could he be a paid actor not working for the deep state but working for the Russian czars to try to save the world? I'm still trying to figure this one out. Moving on from the news to the yes, bad news Hong Kong. As we see death spike in Hong Kong, could we see China say that there is another pandemic being pushed and it is coming from Taiwan? Could we be seeing that this is the entry point for China to go into Taiwan? Possibly. Possibly. They're saying that there's a whole bunch of people dying with zero Rona infections, and it's not coming from the vaccine. Moving on from the news to the yes, China says Ukraine neo-Nazis Azov battalion helped Hong Kong protesters. Are we seeing that the Azov battalion is part of the CIA deep state and them trying to disrupt everything that these political parties have being put in place for their country? I think it is, and it is being pushed by a propaganda newspaper, but even a blind man will walk into a wall. Moving on from the news to the welcome to America bitches with your MHM news. The Homeland Security secretly collected data on at least 2 million money transfers over $500 made by Americans in the last 12 years without a warrant, Democratic Senator says Ron Wyden. Yes, are we seeing that these people have already been monitoring us for a very long time? But Chabul's really not too worried about it because he thinks the only money transactions he's had in the past 12 years over $500 are bail. Yeah, pretty much bail to get out of jail. Moving on from the news to the how can I not help you with your tech support in your MHM news? To Google's true origin partly lies in CIA and NSA research grants for mass surveillance. Yes, are we seeing Google have to do the dirty work? Oh, yeah, when they get money from these organizations to learn or do studies, and we see that these are the true puppets pulling the strings? I think so. Moving on from the news to the yes, even mild cases of Rona can lead to brain changes. As we see in a study that these people had brain scans before they had Rona, and then they got the Rona, and even the mildest cases may have had an alteration in their brain. So I guess that it makes sense why I'm so crazy now. I was crazy before the Rona. Moving on from the news to the yes, Justice Clarence Thomas asked the Supreme Court to reevaluate big tech's immunity under Section 30. Yes, as we see Russia sweep a law across their country of big tech pushing misinformation, are we going to see America put the same policy in place just using different wording? I might think so. You come up with your opinion. I'm just the guy reading. Moving on to the Rona section of your MHM news. To the yes, documents reveal hundreds of media companies, including conservative media, were paid by federal government to promote the Rona vacations. Yes, as we see here, a whole bunch of people are going to be going to God, and he's going to be like, what'd you do it for? And they're like, we did it for the money. Oh, yeah. And then he's going to be like, it's not good enough. You got to go tell that to Satan. And Satan's going to be like, what'd you do it for? And they're going to be like, we did it for you and the money. Oh, yeah. And he's going to be like, yeah, you can burn down in hell with me. Moving on from these people are going through the 9 levels of Dante's circle. Moving on from news to the yes, Florida Department of Health to recommend against the Rona vacation for their healthy children. Yes, as we see here that somebody in Florida is going to go into God, and God's going to be like, what'd you do it for? And he's going to be like, humanity. And he's going to be like, oh yeah. He's going to open the pearly gates and be like, oh. Yes, as we see here that Florida is not going to be pushing the Rona vacation for their youth. Moving on to the funny money section of your MHM news. Mr. Munster says it's not so funny now since gold's going up. Do you have any gold, Mr. Munster? No? Then it's still funny to you, Mr. Munster. Moving on from the news to the yes, Russian banks switch to Chinese Union Pay. Yes, we are seeing that MasterCard and Visa removed Russia from their payment system. We see China step up and take over, but China has banned cryptocurrencies, so who is going to be the one to step up and do the cryptocurrency transactions? Could it be the Dogecoin father, Elon Musk, and his Starlink? I'm thinking so. If he's the Dogecoin father and owed Starlink, does that mean Starlink is Dogecoin? Dogecoin is Starlink? Dogecoin 11 cents? Buy Dogecoin? I'm not a financial advisor. Moving on from the news to the yes, all hell breaks loose on Russia. Oil embargo fears future stocks plunge as oil soars to $139. Gold hits $2,000. Yes, as we see that the market is flip-flopping and inflation is starting to skyrocket. Oil hitting all-time highs. gold starting to surpass their highs? Are we going to see a flip of the world financial system? I think so. Moving on from the news to the yes, preventing crimes against humanity with your MHM news. We all got to stand up together and prevent this now, people. Moving on to Britney Spears puts out a post describing on how she has been manipulated her whole life and blaming such as the Catholic Church, the deep cabal, and somehow Australia. I read through this, but I obviously didn't retain all the information to share with you. So if you screenshot this, blow it up, read it through yourself, or even go back to finding out what this post means, she was abused and manipulated her whole life. Moving on from the news, and even by her own father. Scams, lies, and fraud, scams, and lies could target you, so protect yourself, people. Gotta keep your head on a swivel like an owl. You gotta be like, ooh, 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 all this fraud, scams, and lies going on over there. Ooh, be out, be out, be out, be out, be out. Yes, be out when you see that stuff. Moving on to the yes timeline. Bill Clinton trip to Kazakhstan followed by windfall for Clinton Foundation. Yes, starting in 2004, Bill Clinton started pushing for mining of uranium. Now, is this the fear of all fears that the drops have been the sum of all fears that the drops have been talking about, where they could be possibly trying to blow up a city in the U.S. or around the world using nuclear pow boom boom stuff? Moving on from the news to the yes, high-powered groups targets Trump lawyers' livelihoods. Yes, as we see here that the people that work for DJT, the dark money, is trying to find any kind of information of these people to discredit them and make them no longer fight in the war. But obviously these people are good people because they think not all good people are good people, and they can just dig up any sort of dirt on these people, discrediting them, bringing them down, and forcing them to quit, even maybe getting them to suicide themselves. Moving on from the news to the mass atrocity crimes preventing future outrages with your MHM news. J&J helped fund 1971 study where asbestos was injected into mostly black inmates, paid up to $300 to determine if deadly substance was safe to use in talcum powder. Yes, as we see that they knew for over 30 years that asbestos was deadly and could not even be rubbed on the skin, they still went ahead and still did what they did, giving people life-altering changes in their life and killing them. Moving on from the news to the Russian military operation prevented launch of U.S. biolaboratories in Ukraine, Kyiv hiding evidence. We are now seeing evidence of biolabs roll out in Ukraine. Were we about to see them release another virus on the world and possibly killing many more people and manipulating their brain? I'm starting to learn. Moving on to the you shut your mouth, we'll bomb who we want. It's war propaganda. Yes, we see here that MSNBC is putting out a sky view and telling us that North Korea is reactivating their nuclear test facilities. So we see that it is that Clinton has also, since 2004, been looking for uranium. Are they going to be setting off their own nuclear bomb and blaming North Korea because they put it in the news, giving you false information but planting this information in your brain? It looks like it. Please don't blow up Philadelphia. Moving on to the sex crime section of your MHM news. Ooh, these women can sex crime me. Ooh, hi, ladies. Ooh. But nothing in this section is ever any good, so I really have to stop doing that little short piece. Oh, so disappointed in myself. Moving on to the former Democrat mayor faces charge of child pornography. See? Yes, we see here that a former mayor of Oregon is facing child pornography, but sometimes also, if you don't go along with the plan, they will plant this stuff inside your computer that you should always know what you're doing and the stuff you hold. Moving on from the news to the Prince Andrew pays off Virginia Giuffre in full. The financial deal is understood to exceed £12 million, including £2 million contribution to Miss Giuffre's sex trafficking charity. Yes, as you see here, that this lady not only won money for herself, but also a charity for sex trafficking. So she may have been trafficking Chabul, taking back the statement that he said in previous episodes that she could have just walked into a situation being underage looking for something, but obviously she has a cause to stand up for. Moving on from the news to the gender war section of your MHM news. Be like, pew, 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 or be like, pew, 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 pew. Nobody knows what they want. They either want the pew, pew, or the pew, 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 pew. Moving on from the news to the Houston hospital pauses hormone therapy for transgender children as threats of child abuse investigations loom. Yes, what we are seeing, if these people are pushing for transgender reassignment surgery or something like that, these doctors are now going to start filing child abuse claims and have these parents investigated, as they should. These children cannot make decisions for themselves because they want to eat candy for breakfast. If it was up to my children, they would eat Twinkies and gummy worms for breakfast. Moving on from the news, you can't let them make their decisions on sex. Gosh, I couldn't imagine my son being like, I want to chop off my wee-wee. Oh, no, I won't even have that discussion. Moving, if you made it this far, you made it to the veteran section of your MHM news. Moving on to the as we see here in post 9/11, what is the money flow disruption? List of billionaires. What family history goes back pre W1, W2? Why is this relevant? Why did the Bush family recently break silence and attack POTUS? Coincidence? Pre-SA arrest? Who audits the billions paid for war? Who audits billions paid for environment policy? Side roll. Where do the funds go? Offshore? To who? Which entity and or org? What slush fund was recently terminated by AG Sessions? What is Fast and Furious? What is underlining theme? Money? Who controls the Fed? Who political leaders, talking heads, accumulate assets in excess of $5 million? What was the net worth of each prior to taking office? Reconcile. Why is this relevant? Snow White, Godfather 3. Woo! They have the story I'm here to understand. You will cease to exist. Truth to power. How's the bunker these days? 14 live. Holo. PEOC. Force failed. Yes. Ooh. Are we seeing people already in the bunkers? Are we seeing billionaires hiding? Because we have the stories. Yes, in post 894. When I'm done, it will be like you were never even here. DJT talking to Obama at the bottom of that drop with the Punisher symbol. When we're done, he'll claim Kenya's citizenship as a way to escape. Yes, moving on to post 3010. Treason. It's about to happen. Be vigilant. Now, both these posts come from March 9th. One being a 4-year delta, this one being a 3-year delta. Moving on from the news to the yes in post 3011. Sealed, unsealed, indictments coming March 9th, 2019. This would be a 3-year delta. The next one is going to be a 3-year delta, post number 3016. The real reason they want open borders. Follow the maps. Illegal immigrants first. America last. They are afraid of losing power forever. They should be welcome to the D party. Oh, I got the D for you. I got my D right here for you. Oh, I want to show you my D so bad, but I gotta keep this. PG something. Moving on from the news to the yes in post 3017. The Great Awakening. Attempts to divide will fail. Patriots have no skin color. Nothing can stop. Post 3891. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. Rig the red. I'm still learning. Moving on from the news to the yes in post 3893. Plus comments per MSM. Fake news. Person in the basement. LARP. Who simply asked questions on forum. Image board. The generates continued. Massive thousands. MSM attacks. And WW movement. Great Awakening. Logical thinking. Back channels are important when the news itself is untrustworthy. Controlled. Where we go one, we go all. I feel like I'm on the back channel. Back channel. Trusted source. Moving on from the news to the gosh, if you made it this far, I don't want to make it this far. Trusted source. That is all from the Mental Health Militia News. Mr. Munster and Chabul. Have a good one. God bless you and yours. Holla Chabul. 2 fingers. Love y'all. Absolutely love y'all. I thank you so much. And Jungle Jane, my heart goes out with you, dear. I definitely feel for you. I thank you so much for sharing your personal information out there. And I do read the comments. I love y'all. Definitely love y'all. Thank you so much for the energy. It means a lot to me. It means a lot, and it means a lot that we sit in this foxhole together. Think about it. We kind of sit in this foxhole together. Thank you. Thank you for making me feel important. I love you guys.